Jamming it with Paint Your Body here, 2017 Honda Civic, paint code B607M, and this is an aftermarket bumper cover, rear bumper, and I'm going to do a quick prep. I'm going to show something, most people do a red Scotch-Brite pad, quick over it, I feel like that doesn't prep it good enough, at least for how I feel and how I like to do things. So I'm going to show you a quick way to prep this and follow up with a red Scotch-Brite just to be sure. So like I just showed, this is 400 grit DA paper. I'm running a dual action sander. This is a DA, but there's a soft pad or an interface pad that it's a hook and loop or Velcro, and that hooks to the hard pad on the DA, and then I take the DA paper, stick that to the interface pad or the soft pad. So now instead of having a hard edge, I have a soft edge to DA with, and I can really just go crazy with this thing. Mind you, you don't want to go nuts with the edges and breaking through, because underneath this primer on this bumper is raw plastic. So you blow through that primer and into the raw plastic, well, have fun fixing that, because your bumper is going to look like it has a beard. And by that I mean you're going to have fuzzies and, all kinds of stuff to deal with. So, it might look like I'm digging in a little here and there, but trust me, I keep the DA moving. I've done this 1,000 times. And I figure, so far all my videos I've showed, painting, blending, clear coating, whatever. So, this is a chance, this is a way I prep aftermarket bumpers that have primer on them. This bumper has primer on it. You can tell if the bumper has primer. If you're not sure, check a little section of it. If you've been doing it for a while, if it's raw plastic or if it has primer. This bumper had primer on it, and you can tell because, if you look over the bumper right now from the video alone, it's dusting up with black powder on it. That's a good indication that there's primer on this. So either way, I'm not going to talk and talk and talk. I'm going to let you just kind of watch and just see for a little bit, but I'm DAing this whole bumper down with the 400 grit, and I'm going to continue on. So just watch how I do it. Just watch the DA, switching hands and angling it, and how I'm moving it, and that's kind of a good idea, how to kind of quickly cut through this and not spend too much time prepping something like this. All right, so the DA sanding part is prepped here, or I'm finished with that. So I'm gonna blow this off with a blowgun. I do this because I just want to take a look and see how it looks. Make sure all the areas I wanted to sand, I sanded. Yada yada, whatever. So I'm gonna blow it off. I'm gonna take my red Scotch-Brite pad right here. I'm looking for a razor because I cut these pads in half or thirds or quarters depending on what I'm doing. In this case, I cut this in half. I'm going to do the remaining, edges, areas of this bumper that I didn't get to sand with the DA. So I don't need an entire red Scotch-Brite pad to do that. So I cut it down to size, and that way it eliminates waste and, just makes the products go further. So without hindering the performance of the, prepping, whatever the aspects of the job that I need to do. So, excuse me. So I'm just going to continue on now. So the entire bumper has been prepped with 400 grit on the DA with a soft pad. And like I said, now I'm following up with the red Scotch-Brite pad. The red Scotch-Brite is generally the equivalent to about 320 grit sandpaper. Give or take. So anyways, the Scotch-Brite pad is great because it's flexible, it contours, it goes into curves, it goes into areas that you can't get with, the sander or sometimes even regular sandpaper. So, in this case, the whole bumper has been sanded with the 400 on the DA. And now all the areas that I missed, I'm going to quickly by hand go over it with the red Scotch-Brite pad. And this is extremely quick and extremely effective. I've done this so many times, and I love to show this now because I think if you haven't tried it this way and you're confident enough to try it this way, I definitely suggest that you do. If this is your first time ever, maybe just try it with the red Scotch-Brite or wet sand it down with some 400. Just go easy. But if you've been doing, aftermarket bumpers or bumpers with primer for, years, or you have plenty of practice, whatever, just, give this a shot. As long as you know what you're doing and you're confident with what you're doing, give this a shot because this is really, really a quick way to do it. The most aggressive way you can do it without hindering the quality of the paint job or the quality of the prep work. So like I said, this is, I'm really glad that I can show this, and I hope that it can help somebody out there or just give some ideas or, maybe some feedback. But, to me, this is the quickest way that I found to do this and have it come out really, really well without any issues. So, so I'm going to sit back. I'm not going to talk and talk. I'll finish the Scotch-Brite and then move on to the next step. Alright, so this bumper's all prepped out. I moved it in between clips here. I moved it into the booth, set it up on a stand. Now I'm going to wipe this down with a water-based cleaner. I threw the gloves on. Anytime I'm working with a cleaner or a solvent, cleaning my spray gun, anything like that, I throw the gloves on. You don't want any issues with absorbing any of these solvents or chemicals into your skin or your body. So you always got to wear a mask when you're prepping, painting, wear the gloves when you're working with solvents, anything like that. So anyways, I'm going to wipe this down with a water-based cleaner, end to end, just get the whole thing clean. I try to show the rag in a couple points here, just to show the kind of I don't know, the debris or the leftovers that I'm wiping off the panel to ensure that it's getting clean. And with this rag, I fold it over 3 or 4 times over, and each time just getting more and more gunk or dirt or junk off this bumper, just to make sure that it's clean, and ready for the next step. And the next step is going to be sealer. And then we're going to build up from the sealer to base coat and then to clear coat. So I'm going to finish wiping this bumper off, just follow along and just watch. I just wanted to add the little squirt bottle on the floor there. A lot of people like to spray pump bottles, the pump sprayers, whatever. I cannot stand using them. I don't know. I've tried them, and at one point I used to really love using them, and I'm not sure. At some point I just stopped liking using them, and I found them to be a pain in my butt. So I switched over to these squirt bottles, and I've been using them for years, and that's what I like to do. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's just what I like to do in my method, and it works no problem. It doesn't affect the jobs or anything. It's just the way that I like to do it. So anyways, just real quick, the bumper's been wiped down with the water-based cleaner, so I'm going to follow up, blow it off, get that water-based cleaner dried off now after wiping it over thoroughly, and I'm going to follow up with a tack cloth, and I'm going to jump into the sealer. So again, I'm going to shut up and you can watch. Alright, so the lead up, this is the first coat of sealer. So the lead up, You know, we've all seen, you watched it, prep the bumper with 400 on the DA sander, followed up by a red Scotch-Brite, blew it off thoroughly, moved the bumper into the spray booth, wiped it off thoroughly with a water-based cleaner, and then tacked it off with a tack cloth. And now here we are. This is the point that normally you see that maybe you don't see, or you have seen but in a different way, or who knows, maybe the same way. But this is that was the lead up to the point that we're at now, and this is the point where we're at now. This is the sealer, and this is going to be used to help with adhesion and uniformity, just to make sure that when I spray the base coat on there, there's no issues, everything's nice and smooth, and you know, the color is even, everything. That's what this helps out with. So I'm going to spray the sealer, and you know, just a heads up, with new parts, whether it's a fender, a hood, a quarter panel that was welded on, a trunk lid, it doesn't matter, new parts, bumpers, whatever, you're going to need to seal them. I know people that don't, that haven't, that won't, and you can paint it like that and it's going to look fine. That's, you know, that's their business, whatever. But I'm telling you, this is what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to seal them. You need to have the right amount of mils on there between the sealer, the base, and the clear coat, because if you do not, give it 2, 3, 4, 6 years, whatever, the paint job is going to fail. And by fail, I mean you're going to have delamination, it's going to fade out, it's going to start to look ugly, peel off, crack. You're going to have some type of issue. So it's important to prep it right and to put the proper amount of coatings on it in the right order, and just, you know, follow the steps. You know, try to follow the steps. You have to have some type of, you know, continuity. And by continuity, I mean continuously doing things in a certain way that get the same result all the time. That should be your goal. You find the simplest way to do this job and get the same results every time. You don't want to keep doing things different, trying different products, different methods. Find a method that works, and the products that work, you know, within your paint line, whatever you're doing, find the method that works and gives you the same great results each time, and that is what you want to do, and that's what you want to stick with. That's, honestly, that's setting you up for success. That's the best advice right at this second that I can give you. Do that, please, and you're never going to look back. You're going to be off to the races and doing great jobs and great work all the time. So just try to find a way and stick with it and do it every time. Alright, so, you know, real quick, second coat of base now. Let me rewind real quick. The sealer, I applied the sealer, that dried for about 15 minutes or so. You know, if you watch any of my other videos, the minutes are great, but you want to check physically and check it by eye yourself. So we'll just say 15 minutes. Maybe it was 17, maybe it was 20, maybe it was 14, but for this sake, 15 minutes. Then went ahead, applied the first coat of base, let that sit for, let's just say, 10 minutes. Could have been a little less, a little more, and now we're on to the second coat of base here. I'm going to apply the second coat of base just like I did the first, pretty much. You know, pretty heavy, not too wet, but wet, and you know, just looking for coverage. So very quickly, we're already at the third coat here. So third coat of base, a little bit quicker, just looking to even things out a little bit more. Still looking for coverage. You know, this time instead of going with the length of the bumper, you know, I'm going, I guess you could say vertical, depending on, you know, how you're viewing this, but with the bumper on the car, that would have been considered vertical. Still making sure I get my edges and my coverage, and you know, that's the name of the game. Get your coverage and your edges and make sure everything is even. Alright, last coat of base was evened out pretty good. Did a nice even coat and kind of tracked back a little bit just to make sure. You know, first coat of clear here, covering the edges. You know, running the 1.3 with the TE25 air cap. Technic clear coat gun here. I believe I'm running about 25-26 psi. That's pretty much the sweet spot for the gun. And this is a 4-to-1 clear, and I believe I'm running, it's a 4-to-1 with a splash of reducer, so I don't even know if you could say it's 4-to-1 to 5%, but I'm in a rush on this, so I put a rapid additive in it, and that's basically a rapid accelerator. It's going to kick the clear coat to cure even quicker than it normally would. You know, you can look into these. There's different brands and you know, different manufacturers that make these. You know, in this case I'm using the kicker from TranStar, and it works excellent. It speeds up the cure time. You know, and I'm going to be able to push this bumper through much quicker than I would if I didn't use it. And you know, I'm just going to comment, normally you don't spray just one bumper in the booth by itself. You know, you have a bumper with the rest of the car, or a bumper with some other parts, or several bumpers, whatever. So, you know, if you've been painting, or you have an idea of what's going on, or a shop, whatever the case, you know, normally you don't just spray a bumper. This is, you know, I'm not going to say an emergency. This is almost a rush job, and this car is ready to rock and roll, and you know, I needed to get this done quickly. So you know, according to the orders of the higher powers, this bumper needed to get done, and it needed to get done now, and I'm obliged. I will get this bumper done now. So according to the prepping process that you watched and how I got this ready, and now I'm at the stage of clear. You know, the video length is no indication as to the entirety of the prep time and you know, flash times, but I want to go ahead and say within under an hour and a half, this bumper went from being in plastic and fitted on the car to being looked over, prepped, and painted. So, you know, just kind of a rough estimate. You know, about an hour and a half, I believe, from start to finish. And, you know, that's really quick. That's the goal. And that's what you want to do. So, you know, different, I guess, desperate times call for desperate measures. So in this case, one bumper in the booth, rapid additive in the clear coat, and you know, we're gonna send this thing, and off we go. And this is it, final product. This is outside in snowy weather, and it's not very sunny. I wish we had a better view, but this is it, and I'm pleased. And next job.